Say you're walking down the streets of Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, or Haifa and notice one of many soldiers walking past you. How would you identify where he or she serves? Well, in this tutorial, I'll give you a comprehensive overview of how to identify the different uniforms and insignia of an IDF soldier. While we do so, we'll learn some important Hebrew words that have to do with the IDF. Without further ado, let's begin. In general, there are three branches in Tzahal, meaning the IDF, which is the acronym of Tzva HaHagana LiYisrael, meaning the Israeli Defense Forces. The three main branches are Chel HaYabasha, meaning the ground forces, Chel HaAvir, the Air Force, Chel HaYam, the Navy. Each of the branches has its own color uniform. Dark green for the ground forces, and beige for the Air Force and for the Navy. On very special occasions, the Navy will wear white uniforms, but on a day-to-day basis, their uniform color will be identical to the ones of the Air Force. A fourth color uniform you might see is a dark gray uniform belonging to Magav, or Mishmar HaGvul, meaning border control. Magav is a hybrid unit between the Israeli police and the IDF, but as they fall under the jurisdiction of the police, we'll leave them out of this video. In every single unit, you'd have Chayalei Sadir, meaning regular service soldiers who are serving in their mandatory service, and Meshartei Keva, permanent service soldiers, meaning Ktsinim, officers, and Nagadim, NCOs, meaning non-commissioning officers. In each branch, the regular service soldiers have their own uniforms, and the permanent service soldiers also have their own sets of uniforms. Now that we understood the different branches of the IDF, let's look at the first identifier, the beret, or in Hebrew, a kumta. The same exact style of beret is worn by every single soldier, from a soldier on his or her first day of service, all the way up to the Chief of Staff, or Ramatkal in Hebrew. On special occasions, permanent service soldiers, meaning officers and NCOs, will wear a special hat instead of the beret. The beret is almost never worn on the head, aside from special occasions. It usually just rests on the left shoulder. We'll start off with the easiest differentiator between the Air Force and the Navy. Both of these branches wear beige uniforms, but an Air Force soldier has a dark gray beret, while a Navy soldier has a dark blue beret. In the ground forces, things get much more colorful, where we'll find a large variety of beret colors. In the ground forces, most soldiers will start off their service with a kumtat bakum. The bakum is the reception and sorting base, where almost every soldier arrives on his or her first day of service. This beret is the same shade of green as the uniforms, and is usually quite an embarrassing one, as this soldier is known as a tza'ir or tze'ira, literally meaning young, expressing that they just began their service. The kumtat bakum only exists in the ground forces, and does not exist in the Air Force or in the Navy, who begin their service with their regular beret. Please notice that there is a small number of units that will continue using the kumtat bakum their entire service, so the soldier bearing it might not necessarily be a tza'ir or a tze'ira, especially if they have ranks, which we'll get to later on. It differs in every unit, but once the ground soldier is formally accepted into his or her own unit, they receive their special colored beret. Red is the color of Chativat HaTzanchanim, meaning the paratroopers. Purple is the color of Chativat Givati, the Givati Brigade. Brown is the color of Chativat Golani, the Golani Brigade. Camouflage are the colors of Chativat Kfir, the Kfir Brigade. Light green, the Nachal. Black, the Armored Corps, or Chel HaShiryon. Light blue, Chel HaTotchanim, the Artillery Corps. Orange, the Home Front Command, or Pikud HaOref. Dark blue, the military police, or חיל המשטרה הצבאית. Yellow camouflage, the Combat Intelligence Collection Corps, or חיל האיסוף הקרבי. Light gray, or as they call it, silver, חיל ההנדסה הקרבית, meaning the Combat Engineering Corps. Dark green belongs to חיל המודיעין, the Intelligence Corps. Last but not least, turquoise is the color of the C41 department, or חיל התקשוב. On the beret itself lays a tag kova, meaning a beret pin, which bears the logo and the name of the division the soldier serves in. Every single soldier has a tag yechida, meaning a unit tag, which lays on the shoulder under the beret. I'd say there are a few hundred different unit tags, so I won't be going through them. In general, some will tell you at times which base the soldier serves in, and others which unit the soldier serves in. On the soldier's chest, usually on the left side, you'd notice different pins. As with the unit tags, there are probably hundreds of pins, but in most cases, the pins will fall under one of these categories. Sikat yechida, meaning a unit pin, which shows which unit the soldier serves in. Sikat kurs, meaning a course pin. This is a pin showing that the soldier completed a prestigious training. Or an ot ma'aracha, a campaign insignia, meaning the soldier participated in a war. As opposed to many other countries in the world, which their militaries bear tons of insignia on their uniforms, in Israel we're very conservative with our insignia, and most soldiers might have 1, 2, 3, or 4 pins at max. You will see some soldiers with different colored laces, or srochim, coming down from under their beret. Usually, these laces indicate that this soldier is either a commander or an instructor of some sort, but other positions in the IDF also get a special colored lace. The belts, or chagorot, are quite straightforward. The ground units wear dark green belts, the Air Force wear dark blue belts, and the Navy wear very dark blue belts. Let's move on to the shoes. In general, all soldiers wear na'alaim shchorot, meaning black shoes, aside from the paratroopers, the Nachal, and Kfir, as well as the Israeli commando units, who wear na'alaim adumot, meaning red shoes. In the IDF, there's a distinction between chayalim kravim, meaning combat soldiers, and jobnikim, literally deriving from the word job, meaning they have a so-called job in the military and are not combat soldiers. In most cases, a chayal kravi will always be with either a gun or a pistol at all times, as opposed to a jobnik who will usually be walking around without any weapon. The kravim tend to look down at the jobnikim, even though many of the jobnikim serve in super important positions. The thing that every soldier aspires to is pazam, meaning the time they served in the army, which every soldier is very dedicated to count from the first day. Obviously, the higher your pazam is, the longer you served, meaning slowly you stop being a tza'ir and you move towards being a pazamnik, meaning a person who has pazam. You can easily tell a soldier's pazam by looking at his or her ranks, or dargot, on the sides of both arms. A turai, meaning a private, has no rank, and would definitely be known as a tza'ir or a tza'ira, as mentioned earlier. A rabat, or rav turai, meaning a corporal, will have 2 stripes on each arm. This rank is only worn by jobnikim, and never, ever by kravim, as they see this rank as a disgrace. A samal, or a sergeant, has 3 stripes on each arm. This rank will show you that the soldier is already somewhere in the middle of his service and is no longer a tza'ir. A samal rishon, or samar, is a staff sergeant, and this is the last rank a soldier will get in his mandatory service. This rank has 3 stripes with a leaf in the middle, which is known as a falafel. Yes, I actually mean a falafel bowl. As discussed before, this soldier is known as a pazamnik, and he's just counting the days until he could go on his amazing trip somewhere around the world. Most female soldiers serve only 2 years, so they don't have time to reach the staff sergeant rank, and usually finish their service with the sergeant rank. All 4 ranks that I mentioned are used for every branch in the military, but every branch has their own colors. The ground forces have a green background, the Air Force has a blue background, and the Navy has a golden background. When it comes to Nagadim, meaning NCOs, and Ktsinim, meaning officers, they have special uniforms and ranks which differ a lot from the regular service soldiers. In the Air Force, they wear navy-colored pants with a light blue shirt, and their shoulder ranks are silver. In the Navy, they wear black pants with a white shirt, and their shoulder ranks are golden. In the ground forces, they wear dark green pants and a light green shirt, and their shoulder ranks are black with a red background. All NCOs and officers wear the same berets, pins, and unit tags as the regular service soldiers which serve in their unit. The ranks of the Nagadim are known as Citroenim, as the name of the French car maker Citroën, since they resemble the logo of the company, as well as a Kochav, a star, and the ranks are ordered in this order. The ranks of the officers are known as Aronot, literally closets, and they are worn by the newer officers. Falafelim are worn by the higher-ranking officers, and finally, Charavot, meaning swords, are worn by the really high-ranking officers. The highest-ranking officer is, of course, the Ramatkal, meaning the chief of staff, who has 2 falafels and the Charavot. If you made it this far in the tutorial, you'll see that there are many topics I didn't get to, or just spoke really briefly about them, since this tutorial cannot go on forever. If you have further questions, please write them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them. That is all, guys and girls. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, yalla bye.